show us on the screen?
Now.
Could you show us on the screen?
Let me see. Well, they're silver. See, we've had like a 2-week correction so far. Backing off a little bit on the monthly level. When we look at the timing of this, you're looking at panic cycles coming in by February. So that's why I say after the first quarter is where you're going to start seeing something really start to develop. Typically, a correction could be up to 3 time units. Okay, so this is largely what you have at this stage in the game. From your October highs, you can go down into most likely into perhaps around January. Then you got a panic cycle in February. So it just looks like short-term corrections at this stage in the game and consolidation. But long-term bear market, no. The world is too unsettled for that.
How do you see Bitcoin like fitting into this? We always said the government could shut it down anytime they really wanted to. All they have to do is shut down every node, which is easier than many of you out there think. But in the meantime, it looks like it's flirting with going below 100,000, and yet the institutional interest in it, the derivatives market, kind of point to maybe that being short term?
Well, it basically shows that Trump probably bought the high.
You think so, huh?
Look, the biggest risk with that, it really depends on how Europe deals with its CBDCs. If they push next year out of desperation, the risk to Bitcoin is that they will outlaw it. And look, they already started a few weeks ago that if you're going into the country or leaving the EU, you must report all your accounts. Bitcoin is no different than copper or anything else. It's an asset. It's a trading vehicle. Okay, it can't possibly replace the dollar. That's all hyperbole, really. And the same thing. Oh, BRICS is going to kill the dollar. We heard that with the euro. The bulk of the support for the dollar has got nothing to do with gold, the government, or anything else. First, you have the dollar has never been canceled. So 70% of the paper dollars are outside the country, and they're trusted because everybody else cancels currency. So you can hold dollars, but you can't hold the euro. I mean, I've got high denomination notes from India. Last time I was there, they've been canceled. Next, you really have is that the U.S. is the biggest economy in the world, but it's a consumer-based economy. You can go on the Fed, St. Louis, and just compare a chart of quarterly GDP for Europe versus the United States. It looks like a tiny fraction of the U.S. We're overregulated, overtaxed. Everything is, you can't even pay it. Staying in a hotel, you can't pay more than 1,000 euros in cash. They're worried about everything you got. And U.S. isn't like that. Second, I guess the third thing is that all these countries that are basically emerging markets, they issue debt that's denominated in dollars. And they got to go to New York to sell it. Okay, so this is what they did, before World War I. You can go on eBay and get bonds from China that were issued in British pounds. That's what they had to do to sell their debt. Okay, so that's the real strength behind the dollar. So this idea that the BRICS is going to kill the dollar, look, not yet. After 2032, China should emerge, but as the chief financial capital. But China, look, we got offices there. I know what's going on. They are copying the United States, not Europe. So they are seeking to create basically a consumer-based economy. And their economy is going to, it's already past Japan and everybody else. And they're going to exceed the United States and replace it. When they can get the financial situation providing loans like Wall Street does. And they're offering loans to different countries, etc. That's a step in the correct direction. All right, you need financial markets that are not interfered with, that are free, that people can, you need a rule of law so that you come into my house and squat and I need a court to say, hey, I own the house, not him. All right, you can't do that. Yeah, I mean, you have to have a rule of law. And this is what the West is also undermining. I mean, you're looking at all this Arctic freeze. I mean, Obama, the Biden administration, Hillary, I mean, they were so desperate to retain power. I mean, Obama was the only president that didn't leave Washington. And, he bought a house there, so he still keep his fingers in everything. And now they're talking about it was getting a kickback from Obamacare of a couple $1 million a year. I mean, it's endless. It's endless. It's, my affair is all involved in trying to take over Russia. And that was benefiting Hillary. That's why she accused Putin of interfering in the election. When people asked her why would he do that? Oh, well, I criticized some election in Russia. It didn't even involve him. It was just, no, she thought he was retaliating because they were trying to interfere in the Russian 2000 election. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And they've used the law as a weapon. Other countries are doing that now. You saw France going after Le Pen to prevent her from ever running again. Same thing in Romania. Brazil trying to put Bolsonaro in prison for 27 years. Oh, he wanted to have a protest. It would be a coup. This is what you do. And once they did that to Trump, it was showing the rest of the world it's okay. So the rule of law in the West is just collapsing. There is no rule of law anymore. It depends upon who's the judge, what is it. It's just crazy.
What's the safe play? What's the asymmetric play to play these markets now, or to at least protect what you have?
Well, I don't think you're going to see a major crash. People are going for geopolitical reasons, etc., to moving to be safe, whatever. Honestly, the number one country right now is Uruguay. It used to be New Zealand. People have given up on that. Turns very socialistic with COVID and everything else. Uruguay is the new place where everybody's heading. I can't tell you how many Europeans that I know have going to Uruguay. So it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't expect a crash at this stage in the game. Be careful after, particularly from February on next year, it's going to get a lot more volatile and confusing. So I would suspect any of these things with peace deals, etc., Middle East, Ukraine, I wouldn't necessarily count on a lot of them. I did get an email from somebody from Hungary, said thank you for your report. I don't know, but apparently Trump just said, Hungary, you're an exception, you can, so I don't know to what extent that report has helped one way or the other. But I mainly try to bring out the facts and saying, look, our real enemy here is Europe. And having to deal with governments all the time, the number one thing that they will never do is admit a mistake. So you had Kalis over there saying, no matter what Trump agrees with Putin, we're not going to honor it. So the only way around that, I basically told them, is that they have to say, fine, I'm not negotiating this. You already signed the Vince agreement. You're just going to honor it. And do the same thing to Zelensky. And that could create peace. But if you don't do that, my concern is if this drags on and Putin is going to have to get either much more aggressive or be replaced. And I think that's what scared them. I said, look, when Khrushchev had to back down in 1962, what happened? There was a coup. Brezhnev came in. When Gorbachev took power, I even put in the book that I wrote, The Plot to Seize Russia. Now, I had all the Clinton declassified documents right in the beginning. It said very clearly Russia was invited to join NATO. So they're neocons. Staged the coup to get rid of him. The same as, when JFK wanted to have peace with Russia, the CIA took him out. So everybody's got their neocons. So I warned them. I said, if you think you can embarrass Putin to leave, fall to his knees, and neocons are going to come in right behind him. And he's not a fool. He knows what the hell is going to happen if he were to do that. Then you got Zelensky out there, we're going to kill him. Really? Do you think that is going to solve the war? We take him out, and honestly, they'll probably nuke Kiev. And I wouldn't blame them.
All right, so we're okay in the market for now, but metals are eventually going to be the play, huh?
Yeah, in the stock market. The two actually will go up. And I've been saying that a lot of people begin to understand. Because you had the gold bugs always saying, oh, gold goes up and stock market down. That's not true. Both are going up on geopolitical. So the big capital, it goes into the stock market. It's a bigger market that can absorb money. And just look at it from the Dow, shows you the institutional money. S&P is second, and the third is NASDAQ. So when the Dow leads, as this rally was all the way up, and we're showing you foreign capital coming in. If the NASDAQ is leading, then that's local retail money.
Interesting. So Dow is like safety, liquidity, and big companies, right?
Yeah, look, you're a major fund manager. Yeah, I know a number of them. They got $1 trillion portfolios. All right. Why do we get called in? Because we have a long track record. They're not going to call somebody in that says, listen, here's this thing. I just made it up. Look at what it's done. Very nice. If they take that and they lose their job. All right. If they lose, even on a forecast that I did, everybody else did, so it's okay. There's safety in numbers.
No one ever got fired for buying IBM, right?
Right. It's just, that's the way it goes. You get fired if you go out on a limb. So you'll see the big institutions, they want the big caps. They're not going to buy the IPOs. All right. Too risky. So they buy the Dow. They can't get fired.
Yeah.
Simple
Job safety. Safety. Huh? All right.
You have to. Yeah, this is the way it does work.
Hey, got a question from a viewer out there by the name of Cindy. She wanted to know, what is the story with platinum? Will it eventually go back and be higher priced than gold? Maybe not, but I mean, longer term, yeah. Platinum
number one producer, South America. Second is Russia. Its main use has been like in car manufacturer, catalytic converters. It's come down largely because when you start going to electric cars, they'll need it. So it's a different ballgame.
Can you just take a look at Tesla and tell us what you think that's going to do?
Tesla?
TSLA. I get a lot of questions from people about that one. You know, because that's the whole self-driving car thing.
It's not in crash mode right now, but it's definitely starting to show resistance. You see,
because everybody's wondering about full self-driving vehicles, that being the future, you know?
Short term, you're starting to roll over a little bit. It looks as though you're getting the directional change here in November. Yeah, you're off into higher volatility. It basically is going to start next year. But just, yeah, again, kind of like with everything else, short-term, consolidation.
So it seems like 2026 is really a pivotal year then, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because it's coming up as a panic cycle, just not in war, but also like the euro, which is indicative that, the computer's showing it does not like Europe. Look, you've even had both the UK and the finance minister of France say that they might need an IMF bailout. Look at Stammer. I mean, he is absolutely insane. The oldest living vet from World War II was on TV over there and said everything he fought for, this guy has destroyed.
That's so sad.
It is. He says, that he feels like, everybody's died for what? For what? But I mean, look, Starmer is the same thing as all this extreme leftist idea. And, people have to understand, socialism isn't for you. Socialism is for government. It gives them more power. Vote for me and I'll give you this and I'll give you that. It's all about bribing.
Auction of goods yet to be stolen, as H.L. Mencken said, elections.
Yeah, and, it's like Maggie Thatcher said, socialism works until you run out of other people's money.
Yeah, I remember.
And,
So,
look, if it wasn't for Maggie, the pound would have been toast a long time ago. But,
agreed. So, well, I guess we've about run out of time here, Martin. Make sure you go to Armstrong Economics. Be there at the WEC. It starts on November 22nd in Orlando. I will be there. The book, again, is the Armstrong Economic Code, The 5 Truths Investors Must Never Forget. And, hey, we'll be there then. If you buy the book before and you're at the conference, I'm happy to sign it for you. Otherwise, we will have books at the conference that you can get. And if you've got a question for myself, Martin, KL@kerrylutz.com. Martin, always a pleasure, and we will talk to you and see you very shortly, like in 12 days.
Yep. Actually, I think it's the 21st to the 23rd.
21st. My mistake. 21st. So
I think so.
It's there, and we will see you then. Thanks so much. ArmstrongEconomics.com. Go there, sign up.
Oh, thank you.